Hello and welcome to today's MSI 2023 preview video, patch 13.7, 13.8 breakdown. If you're new to the channel, I've been doing this for over a year now. I look at the patch. I treat all buffs and nerfs equally regardless of how we feel about them. I understand that that's not how it actually is, but that's how I'm doing it for simplicity's sake. I do that, and I look how it may affect the teams, right? So at MSI, there are only 13 teams, so that's what we're looking at, one of the easier videos. I'm combining 13.7 and 13.8 because those are the two patches we've seen come out since the major regions were done. Buffs. So I give teams credit for a buffed champion if their player has played it in the past and it has a good win rate on it compared to how many games they played. Do they play it a lot? If they only play it 10 times in 350 games like some players have, I'm not going to include it on there. They could go 10-0. I don't care. That just shows they really don't play it all that much, right? So the buffs, and mind you, some of these are not pro play at all. Garen, Graves, Lilia, Nidalee, Poppy, Azir, Katarina, Yasuo, Callista, Ezreal, Kog'Maw, Alistar, Leona, and Janna. All were buffed. The nerfs. A team gets credited with a nerf if the team played that champion this past split. If they played it, that's a nerf. That means they have to change something possibly. That means they have to go outside of the box. That's the way I view it. Olaf, J4, Malphite, Lee Sin, Rammus, Sejuani, Vi, Wukong, Kayn, Annie, Veigar, Aurelion Sol, Zeri, Thresh, and Rakan. Now, some people might say these nerfs won't make a difference, these buffs won't make a difference. I've been hearing that all split long, but somehow, some way, the handshakes changed throughout the split, despite these champions supposedly not being altered all that much. So, the fact of the matter is, whether we think it's going to work or not, doesn't always mean that it won't change something. Going into Worlds last year, a lot of people complained about the Worlds patch. We ended up with the most diverse Worlds in League history. So to just condemn it like we did before last Worlds and then look like fools because they were wrong for thinking that it wasn't going to affect anything, just hold off and see what happens. The four teams that are happy by this patch out of 13, G2 is the happiest. Yike played Lilia this year, so that's good for him. Caps is Azir and Yasuo. We have Hansama, Callista, Ezreal, and Mickey X, Alistar, Leona. Now the four nerfs to G2. Olaf for Broken Blade. Vi and J4 for Yike, and Thresh for Mickey X. Loud from CB Lull, also happy to see this. Croc plays Nidalee, Tinones plays Azir. Route plays both Callista and Ezreal, and then Sales plays Leona. The nerfs to them, Robo's Olaf has been nerfed, and then Croc's Sejuani and Wukong. Gen G, despite, and I admit this, despite Peanut not being a carry anymore, his career numbers on Graves are good. Last year, his numbers on Graves in 3 games were good. Whether we think he can play Graves or not does not check out with the numbers. So I'm going to go with the numbers. So Graves, Poppy, Nidalee for Peanut, Chovy's Azir, and then Delight, Alistar, Leona. Keep in mind also, I do not include champions that players played in academy leagues and things like that. I try and avoid that because there is no proof that that's going to actually translate to the major level, right? Peanut, Vi, Sejuani, Wukong, all nerfed. He played those 3. Pays is Zeri, and Delight's Rakan. PSG Talon, a few buffs here. We have Yubao's Azir, Wako's Ezreal, and then Woody plays Leona and Alistar. Nerfs, Sejuani Wukong for Junjia, and Zeri for Wako. The only team that's pretty indifferent about this patch, I'm trying to make sure I'm still on screen here, I am, T1. T1 go out as a net 0. Usually I don't include net zeros in these videos, but for MSI, I want to have all 13 teams on the board and represented. Faker Zazir, buffed. Guma, Callista, Ezreal, buffed. And Keria plays quite a bit of Leona. Now, the nerfs. Owners, Lee Sin, Sejuani, Vi, and Wukong. All 4 of those champions, he played quite a bit this past split. You'll see some you'll say, oh, this player played this. Why isn't it a nerf? And it's like, they didn't play it enough, right? So they have to play it enough to end up on here. It has to make, I have to feel like, okay, this player kind of relied on this more than your average player or more than the rest of their champion pool, if that makes sense. So owner really nerfed by this, these patches. The teams that are sad. C9, not really affected by this patch. They're the least affected team by this. They did not rely on these champions as much as everybody else, really. Blabber plays Lilia, so that's a buff. But Blabber also plays Wukong, so that's a nerf. And Berserker played Zeri. DFM. Steel plays Nidalee. We have Azir for Arya. Udapon's Ezreal, Harp's Alistar. Then the nerfs are to Vi, Malphite, Annie, Zeri, and Rakan. So a Malphite nerf. Golden Guardians, Nidalee and Graves for River. Ezreal, Callista for Stixxay, and Leona for Huhi. The nerfs, Malphite, Sejuani, Vi, Wukong, Zeri, Rakan. So a few nerfs for Golden Guardians. JDG, JD Gaming, Graves, Lilia, Nidalee for Kanavi. That's a big deal. Kanavi is disgusting. Ezreal, Callista for Ruler, Alistar, Leona for Missing. We have several nerfs. Kanavi played Lee Sin, Vi, Sejuani, Wukong quite a bit this past split. Those are all nerfed. Annie ×2. Not only did Knight play quite a bit of Annie, but Missing did as well. The only player to actually get the Annie nerf on support for me. And Zeri and Rakan, the other 2 nerfs to JDG. BLG, the other LPL team. Nidalee for Shun, that is a pocket pick. Azir for Yagao. Ezreal Callista for Elk. And Leona Alistar for On. And then the nerfs are Sejuani, Vi, Wukong, Annie, Veigar, Zeri, Thresh, Rakan. So Annie and Veigar for Yagao being nerfed. Mad Lions, Graves for Elyoya, Azir for Niski, Ezreal for Karzi, and Hilly's Alistar all buffed. Lee Sin, Vi, Wukong, Sejuani. So Elyoya joining those few junglers that are quad nerfed. Zeri and Thresh as well were nerfed. Gam Esports from Vietnam. The only buff is Leona. They did not play the other champions enough to warrant being on this list. Relative to the amount of games they've played in their career, win rates, things like that, just doesn't vibe with me. Lee Sin, Vi, Wukong, Zeri, Rakan all nerfed, and they played those this past split quite a bit. Lastly, Rainbow 7. They could not afford to have a terrible patch. They need their things buffed if they wanted a chance, and that didn't happen. Myru plays Azir. That's the only buff that Rainbow 7 has. And then the nerfs are to Malphite, Sejuani, Vi, Veigar, Annie, Zeri, and Rakan. So quite a few nerfs to Rainbow 7. Also keep in mind I don't include bans in here. This is simply what do you pick in terms of buffs and nerfs. So G2 and Gen G, happy to see this. T1, meh, they're just like, okay, well, we play a bunch of different stuff anyways. And then, the teams that are actually probably hurt by this are the LPL teams, if you could even pick that. I think Kanavi being able to play carries would be beneficial to JDG. But, yeah, so that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and thank you for watching.